Welcome to Network Today. I'm Cheryl Powers.
I'm Rob Bliss.
And we're here to take you from meeting people to
making money.
That's right. Lots of money. You're making lots of money. I'm making some money.
I'm trying to. It's my goal every week, not just meeting people, but making money.
That's right. So we're here to help you shorten that long relationship game. People, it's a relationship. It's not a sales process. It's a relationship building. But we want to make sure that you utilize these tools, learn from us who've been down the bad road and done the wrong things, right? And get better at networking so you make money faster, right? Isn't that the goal?
That is the goal. I mean, and that's why, we're doing this each week, Cheryl, is to help people, like you say, shorten the learning curve here. Mm-hmm. And it's so important because networking is like any other profession. You've got to have a skill set. Yeah. You've got to learn. You just can't wing it out there. Yeah. It's a different world now, and you've got to be an expert at what you do to separate yourself. And that's what we're trying to teach our audience and ourselves, right?
Well, I felt like this particular episode, which is number 8. So if you need to go back and review the other ones, feel free to. But man, when I'm really mulling over, ruminating on this title of overwhelmed, I was thinking, man, this is so applicable to me today, this moment right now.
Yes.
So thankful for the timeliness on it because it made me think about how we can unbundle the overwhelmingness, right? Whatever that term is, being overwhelmed.
Yes, there you go. Absolutely. I've had a busy week this week. I got into the office early today, and this is true story. I sat there at my desk. I looked at, 100 cards on my desk, all my task lists to do, and I was overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's easy. I was asking somebody the other day, I said, so we were talking about quirky people. None of you, right? Just talking about quirky people. And I said, hey, so friend, do people, what quirky things do people say about me when I'm not around? And they said, this person I was talking to, and I wish I could remember their name. They said, well, Cheryl, this is what they say. Oh, it was Brett Sharp. This is who I was talking to. He's a sharp guy. He says, you know what, Cheryl, this is what they say. How does she get it all done? And I was like, I don't. I don't. But I'm in the middle of Gillies and I'm not going to cry. So it really did make me think about being overwhelmed and how it feels like an elephant sometimes, right? Because we get so much going on that's super exciting. I love full days. I love full calendars. Last night we were out until almost midnight doing events and meeting people. And then you start the next day, like you said, early in the morning. And you can feel like all of a sudden the pressure on your chest. So we're going to talk about how you break that down, certainly with our guest. And then at the end, we're going to have some, a list of things that you can do to help kind of break this down. But just in one short sentence, what would you say helps you get through the overwhelmed process?
Well, I think just like this morning where I felt that the feeling was I was starting to freeze. And then it's take a deep breath. And I just said, I have not this week been doing the daily discipline of being organized at the end of the day. And so I think that's my issue. You've got to end the day by completing your task of that day.
That's absolutely right. So the 5 Ps, you know what they are?
No, I don't.
You don't? What? I'm sure there's a book on it. So this is, years of radio sales training, the 5 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor performance.
Ooh, I like that.
Right? Proper planning prevents poor performance.
Like it.
And so to your point, that was exactly what I was thinking too. So how do I not feel overwhelmed when I'm feeling overwhelmed? And when I actually am overwhelmed, how do I overcome the being overwhelmed? I take that extra 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. I go to my calendar and I put in an hour all the people I need to call. Then I do my task list on my calendar. Now I'm going to get pinged the next day. Then I keep my notepad by the side of my bed. So as I wake up, I just turn over and I just start writing it down, right? Offloading it. And that to me is how I take a bite out of that elephant one at a time instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can swallow this elephant.
I think for me, it's just the fact because it's go all the time. Yeah. Is that then I do break that habit of not recapping at the end of the day because we have a late night event, right? We're out till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And your mind's whirling around because you just met 10 great new people. Yeah. And then, but now, you're tired. It's time to go home and boom.
I got to sleep.
So, and that can happen, 5 days in a row. And it's like when I walked in the office this morning. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is about breaking it down into small, bite-sized pieces and making sure that you stay organized or kind of just center yourself and get things back into play.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because of that, because we do feel overwhelmed, we have to remember that the end of this game is to have successes. So we're going to come back, talk about our Grand Slam successes next. Let's face it, employees waste time on the company dime. Why? Life's complicated. We help keep the junk of life out of the workplace and in the hands of the experts. Empowered Advantage, empowering employees, giving businesses the advantage. Letter M as in magnificent, poweredadvantage.com. So we're going to talk about success, and I've got a really good one. Can I go first?
You got it. Go first.
I really like for you to go first because I like your stories, but I got to go first this time because we're talking about being overwhelmed. One of the reasons that I get overwhelmed is because I have yes in my heart. You have yes in your heart. A lot of you, because you're watching this, you have yes in your heart. Yes, 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 yes. I'll go to this. I'll do that. And I run several organizations, networking organizations, along with our own business. And but here's the beauty out of that. So this is where I'm going to say this is a really great success and a grand slam, in my opinion. And that's I work with the Transportation Club of DFW. So I'm on the board, one of the officers. And with that, it was a mess last year. So we've been working through it. It felt like a full-time job. But with that, you start building relationships, right? Because you're in the trenches with people. And then as we're in the trenches and trying to help them build their business too, I find out that this gal who just recently in the past, maybe a couple of years, bought a trucking company of her own. And she's a young gal, super smart. And she also has a trucker training service. Well, she wasn't getting taken care of by some people who were trying to provide her some benefits for her trucking company. So she's like, Cheryl, can you do that for me? Right? So that's the beauty of this, right? Of being there and being the resource and having it come around back to you as you give. So you get at some point, right? So that was the beauty of...
The more you sow, the more you reap.
That's right. So thank you, Brittany, and looking forward to helping you and your team. So you, go for it.
Great story. My story goes back to a friend of mine now that I met probably nearly 3 years ago. And Tom Bronson. And, I see him quite often at networking events, but, we're kind of two different industries where, we don't have a lot of synergy in the sense that we can give leads all the time, right? But I received a phone call this week, or actually it was an email first, of a client of his that he said he saw our video that we did for Tom, and then he asked who the videographer was. And Tom referred him to us. And matter of fact, he is a local author, and I think I've talked about that in Rob's library. ROE empowers ROI. So he came by our studio, met the great Purple Cow branding team, and here's a very successful business man in the media business as well. And he was impressed with our little tiny operation here, impressed with the team. And he even said he had a great experience here, but we're working out the details. We haven't got the deal yet, but I know we're close. But again, it's the referral side that, number one, is so appreciative of Tom thinking about us. And then, and again, so proud of my team on this work. But this is the thing about networking. You've got to remember that it's the long run game that you talk about, Cheryl, is that we don't need to get leads all the time from everybody. But if you develop the relationships, build the relationships, it's like if you had one deal a year from 100 of your networkers, that's 100 deals. I'm going to be a happy camper.
That's right. You're going to be growing your team. But two, you've been overwhelmed building your amazing Purple Cow branding team, running a company, creating other Smart Office USA opportunities, and all the networking that you do. However, the things start to fall into place when you stick with it. Yeah. Right? Stick with it, stick through it. It will pay. That's
consistency.
Awesome. That's right. I love it. I love it. So we'll be right back with some insight on how to not be overwhelmed.
A small business is still a business. At Purple Cow Branding, we want to help you execute your greatest visions for your company. Purple Cow works for small businesses that don't have big budgets to spend on their marketing efforts. Inquire now at purplecowbranding.com to be the biggest little guy around. Purple Cow Branding, much more than digital marketing.
So we've got a lovely guest here, and I'm so thrilled to have gotten to know this lovely guest because it's a new relationship, right? Haven't known each other very long. That's the beauty of networking. And it is Brooke Dieterlen, and she's with Art of Strategy Consulting. Mm-hmm. And I just love that you represent the brand so beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
Just so beautifully.
Thank
and I'm
you.
so thankful that we're friends, fast friends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really. But you know, it isn't funny that you meet people in life that are meant to be fast friends.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Some people are slow friends. You're a fast friend.
You get that positive energy and connect.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, yeah, there was, when I met Brooke, there was just that immediate connection. And you don't get that with everybody. Again, that's what I love about networking is that opportunity each time you go to an event that you will have an opportunity to do that. And then when we met Brooke and her partner, Tina, it was awesome. Instant. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So, and we thought that this is a really appropriate subject for you. So it was like, let's see, who do we assign overwhelmed to? Brooke. That's right.
Me.
And we thought it was so apropos because of the fact that you had a different career recently, right? You're into this and you're tackling this really at a difficult time too. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to make magic happen during a time when other people are like, I think the magic's left the earth.
Right, right.
So how did you break down the being overwhelmed with processes and new relationships and things like that?
For being overwhelmed, one of the most important things is my attitude. And it's anyone's attitude. It's where it starts. You decide how you're going to address being overwhelmed. And prioritizing, I think, is the first step that you take. And I wrote down what I wanted to get out of relationships, what I was in going to the networking events for. And it was to make relationships with people that you can grow your business with. And so, prioritization was a big one for me because I did not know. I come from the nonprofit industry. So stepping into this role as sales or business development was, it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming.
And you're helping clients break down, right, their messaging or their marketing needs.
Yes.
Which isn't easy when your headspace is filled with all sorts of junk.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no.
What advice would you give, a newbie in the networking community of, when they get to that point, and how can they avoid it?
Being overwhelmed. Yeah, there's a lot of events out there. So you have to prioritize. You have to pick your poison. You're going to pick certain events that you mesh with people that you have good connections with, strong connections with, good energy with, and then go from there. I know I got to know like one or two folks at each of the networking events, and then I'd regularly communicate with them and say, "Hey, are you going to go to the next one?" And then I could go and visit with them for a little bit, and that got me comfortable. Okay. And so that's how I did it. I think there's a lot of people that do things differently, breathing exercises or whatever it may be. But for me, it was that.
Okay, good.
Or it could be visualizing everybody in the room without pants. Right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yes, I had a job in nonprofit industry where I had to speak to the public. And every time I'd go out to the public, I'd be so nervous to speak. And I would imagine everyone in their, underpants or whatever. And I know it's crazy, but it made me feel so much better thinking that we are all normal people. We are all in it together. So
I thought you were such a nice girl.
I know.
Some of the other things you're talking about too off camera that I'm hoping you can expound on. So let's go into some of those self-care things.
Yes.
We're talking about let's kind of unbundle the being overwhelmed and getting back to center.
Right.
Some of the things tactically that you do.
Well, self-care is so important because you get overwhelmed in a lot of areas of life. And so just being able to focus on what makes you happy. Work makes us all happy sometimes. It makes us all stressed and overwhelmed sometimes. But knowing what our hobbies or what our likes or our friends and our family and spending quality time with them. Yeah. If you enjoy drinking wine, going out for a glass of wine with friends, that's your relaxation. That's your respite care for yourself. And I think that is so vitally important. I think for me, it's anything in the sun, reading out in the sun or just sitting out in the sun and just listening to nature. I think it's very relaxing for me. Listening to certain types of music. I do that. And then, of course, I take a vacation as often as I can.
Doctor said.
That's right. That's right. But being overwhelmed, you have to place your priorities and you have to figure out what you have to do to take care of yourself first. So if it's naps or whatever it may be,
I think that's good. I mean, we've got to learn the balance.
Right.
That's the kind of the big word, balance your lifestyle, that we're also driven. And that we're always it's work, network, people.
Yes.
We're going to burn out, which we're going to be talking about later on.
Yeah.
But we've got to find that balance. And I think some of the things that you just mentioned there are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we wrap, right, I want you to talk about a little known fact about yourself, something that would be like, oh my gosh, well, other than visualizing people without pants.
Well, a friend asked me that same question in a one-on-one meeting, and it perplexed me at first. I wanted to go personal, and then I went professional. And professionally, I think it's interesting because you meet me, and I'm a little short, petite thing that I don't look very, assuming. My character is happy, positive, and I actually I was the president of the National Associations of Citizens Crime Commissions. So I had Portland and Chicago and Seattle and Dallas and all those under me when I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Did you know that, Rob?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
He was the friend.
Oh.
He was the friend.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to know that about you.
Yeah.
So if we have a need,
Right.
Brooke.
Right. Right.
So, any closing thoughts, Rob?
No, I think, again, it's been a pleasure to have Brooke here because, again, like you said earlier, she's a new friend. And again, we just hit it off so fast. And then she's so dynamic. And then she is the real deal, too, because, again, I've gotten several referrals, business from Brooke already. And again, it's just nice for her to be in our circle.
Yeah, it is. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And you're going to love getting to know her. Can you spell your last name for us?
Dieterlen.
All right. So you got that. You might have to, backspace a little.
Right.
And dial forward again.
Right.
But catch up with her on LinkedIn. You'll see it probably. I think we're going to have all the links as well online as well.
Sure
So
that's great.
Brooke, I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you, Cheryl.
right.
I look forward to it. Thank you, Rob.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
So Brooke is delightful. I love being around her. We have so many great guests, and I learned something new from each one of them. What did you learn from Brooke today that you didn't know before?
Well, I think the biggest thing was balance. She's talking about, being overwhelmed in this networking community, and that she goes to her outside interests, her hobbies, her friends, and that type of thing. And I think I got to spend some more time doing that. I'm work, and I got to get that balance back.
Do you know, I think I can't help but feel that it's something that has to do with Americana, right? That we think that we have to work. And if we're not working, we're not adding to the economy, right? And that we come out of the womb just thinking the more you work, the better you are, and the higher you're elevated into society. And the truth is, and what I just was reminded of with Brooke, is that we do have to go back to taking care of ourselves first. It's a reason why when you get on the plane and the flight attendant says, grab the mask and put it on yourself first, because you can't save the babies if you can't breathe. And I forget that because I just think I'm being selfish. I think I work more, I'm better.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's, being in the entrepreneurial world is that, again, like you said, we need to succeed. We need to be number one. We need to make more money. and we're not focusing on our own lifestyle. We're not focusing about family. And so, yes, this was a great topic with Brooke, and I'm going to be doing some thinking over the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And I think probably we should have a whole episode on how to schedule self-care, right?
A great topic.
And not be, how can I say this? I don't want to say like offend yourself, but how to not punish yourself for taking care of yourself.
Well, it's like everything else. That's like a new skill set that we need to focus on. We're always talking about sales techniques and marketing and so on, but let's get back to self-care. I mean, I think that's something that we can help us, find the balance.
Yeah, and I don't want to go too deep into this, but when I was in Europe, they, at least for the most part, they know how to get it done, right? We're in Spain, this beautiful island. I'm going to shop, and it's 3:05. Oh no, you don't shop at 3:05 in Spain because they take siesta, and it's like for 2 hours. And I'm like, what? But I want to shop. I'm an American. I want to spend money with you. They don't care, right? Because if they have to take care of themselves first, and I think that's such an important thing that we miss sometimes. Yeah. So I am at least back on track mentally. I'm going to make an attempt as well.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Brooke, for helping us.
Are you having trouble with your VoIP phone system? Smart Office USA to the rescue. We're a local company here in DFW with real people, certified technicians, and we even come to your office to help you. Smart Office USA, representing the #1 VoIP phone system on the planet. And we are right here in DFW, ready to help you. Call us 214-272-0921 or go to www.smartofficeusa.com.
All right, so now we're going to talk about unbundling the overwhelmingness, right? So
Tell me.
So let's break it down into bite-sized, digestible pieces so you just don't feel like you have to like drink from the fire hose. And because networking, at some point, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I got all these leads, all these people I'm talking to, all these meetings, and then I have no time for myself, and I may not be making money, and that can really be daunting, right? That can really make you, I feel like I'm underwater. Like when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I feel like I'm just trying to get above water just to get a breath. So you've made a list of 7 items that kind of help you work through that overwhelmed process. What's your favorite number? You got 7 on the list here. What's your favorite number?
I think I'm going to go with, I need to do all of them. But I think I'm going to go with number 4, which says, no system in place. And I think, being the typical salesperson, I'm wanting to, chase the deal, see the action, and I'm just all over the place. I mean, that's kind of my personality. And so what I've got to do, and I've probably done this in the past several times, but I've got to really put in stone what my system is. And so that at the end of the day, I can go through that checklist. One of my favorite stories to tell is how when you board an airplane to go somebody, the airline pilot goes through his 50-point checklist. And he's been flying that airplane for 20 years, but every time he goes over that checklist, and I'm really glad he does. But we got to do the same thing too. We've got to have our checklist.
That is a great analogy.
And we can't go home until we've completed our checklist. So, yeah.
Yeah. I love that. The system is the thing, right? Not having a system means you have no plan, and that's no plan to make any money. So I like number 2, lack of discipline. I know discipline was not your favorite episode.
Right.
Oh, not discipline. But because I do find that I get tired when I'm overwhelmed, right? I'm like, all I want to do is sleep. So this week, truth, I was so overwhelmed that I'm sitting with my laptop on my love seat, and I'm answering emails, and I fall asleep sitting up with my laptop at 5:15 in the afternoon.
Wow.
Yep. And I wake up 40 minutes later. I just have you ever been to that place where you're so overwhelmed?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I was just like, my body said, hey, stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, then I woke up. Then I had a really productive evening, so maybe it was a good power nap. But with that, I can I tend to, I needed that actually to help me regroup and then say, okay, Cheryl, this is not unmanageable. So then getting to the discipline of I need to, even though I'm tired and now I've got a lot of things to do. Now I'm 40 minutes further behind. Open my laptop, make my list, go back through all of my networking meetings. That's one of the disciplines too that I try to keep in place, and take a look at all of the introductions that I'd promised. So, and I have to, and don't skip, right? Sometimes I go through my list and I'm making my, my little notes. Hey, introduce this person to these people, and making sure that I've done that helps me. Then I can, okay, so I've got that done off my list. Now let's tackle the next thing. So just making the list, putting on my calendar, and working through that process instead of just giving up.
Yeah.
You could easily just say, oh my gosh, I'm done. I just.
Well, it goes back to, I think, again, because we are going 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And that is our job.
Yeah.
And that's what's so overwhelming about being a sales rep, is that there's so much to do from the admin side.
Yeah.
And we don't, typically salespeople don't like to do that stuff, but we've gained, like you said, we got to discipline ourselves. We got to create that checklist, create the system so that we can get these things done.
Yeah. And I know we're almost out of time, but I want to touch on something that that should be my number one out of the 7. And by the way, you're going to see this list of 7 items on the resource page at networktodaydfw.com. And when you've got here number 5, which is get an accountability partner. I should get one that I'm actually consistent with. Like I have some that kind of come in and out of my life, but not one that's so.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing with me too. And when I was looking through the list, I was really thinking that really is a high priority, but I've gone through several that, it sort of hasn't worked out. So I've got to, you got to find that commitment.
That's right. So yeah.
That's
right. Yeah. Next. So, that's right. And that's part of it, is like, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't want to sift and sort through any more people. Yeah. So overwhelmed is such an important topic. It's, let's help you take bites out of that elephant a little at a time. Yeah. And that comes through planning and creating a system that you work with consistently. Right. So we want to connect with you on LinkedIn. You're also going to find that, I forget to tell people this, the Network Today DFW LinkedIn page.
Yes.
Right. So not only do we have a website, and you can find the little links there, but connect with us on LinkedIn through that page, also through yours.
Right.
Rob Bliss.
Rob Bliss at, no.
It's just Rob Bliss.
No.
Rob Bliss.
No, my LinkedIn profile page.
Yeah. It's just Rob Bliss. Yeah. Right. As in, if you don't know how to spell it, like happiness is. Right, Bliss. And so I'm Cheryl Powers, as in Austin. You see me with my green shirt on. And then we want to hear from you at info@networktodaydfw.com, because this is about you, right? So tell us what topics you'd like to hear. So can't wait to see you next week. We've got another fabulous topic. They're all fabulous. They're all important. So Network Today, where we take you from meeting people to
making money.
That's right. We'll see you later.
Have a great week.
This has been a Purple Cow production.